In this video, I had 1 week to turn my real life friend Sewelly from a complete Ark Noob, someone who had never so much as punched a dodo before, into an Ark Survival Pro. To qualify as a pro, after 1 week of intense training, Sewelly would face a rigorous solo examination of his Ark skills, including retrieving an artifact, taming a Gigantosaurus, and so much more. It was sure to be a difficult task for not only him, but for myself also. Could a seasoned Ark veteran such as myself really train up this Ark Beach Bob in just 7 real-life days? It was time to find out. If you do enjoy the video, please do leave a like, as it really does help me out over here, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more Ark Survival Ascended content. Sorry for being gone so long, but plenty of amazing content is now on the way. Enjoy the video. Day 1 of our long week began as we spawned on the beaches of North Zone 2, and I tribed up with Sewelly. As I named the tribe, it became clear that I was in for a very long and stressful week, as his first action he did was to punch me until I was knocked out. Tribe, noob, do not knock me out! Do not knock me out! Sewelly! You're gonna give me full tour for? As it was nighttime when we spawned in, I immediately made us a campfire to keep us warm and cooked up some meat, while teaching him some of the basics of the game and explaining some stuff. Now, this whole challenge was filmed over on my sub servers, available to all Twitch subs and Patreons, so if you would like to come and join us on the server and potentially make an appearance in future videos, make sure to check out the links in the description. There was a lot to teach a new player, from how to keep himself fed and hydrated, to unlocking engrams and then crafting items, but we slowly began to teach him the basics. Got yourself. Oh, look at that set of armor, lad. Looking suave. Mate, you got yourself a hat to hide that receding hairline.
What's killing me now? Food and drink. Why am I constantly dying?
I then quickly showed him the waters of Ark Survival Ascended before calling him back before he became shark bait. In your inventory. Go in your engrams, yeah? You've got unlock bowler.
Oh, the bowler god.
Yeah, you know. Right, what do you need for some bowlers? I then introduced him to the concept of the bowler, and I was relieved to hear that he had even heard of the legend of the bowler god himself. Soon our Ark Noob had bowlered his very own first dino, and we set about hitting it with a hatchet until it died, to get some early game hide. After a tremendous bowler from the bowler god himself, we then did the same with his pteranodon. After making our way further north, we stumbled across this explorer note, and I explained the importance of these things to Sewelly and how incredibly useful they were for leveling up, especially in that early game.
Sorry, no,
that would not go well. That would be a very dead. Oh no, Sewelly! I bowlered him. Get him!
I shot him with an arrow.
Get him! I'm asleep. It's all you. No, don't do that. We started making our way towards the hidden lake, where I was ambushed by Troodons and knocked out. I'm sure we can all appreciate Sewelly's valiant attempt at saving me here by smacking the Troodons with his stone hatchet, instead of using his bow and arrows. After the Troodon incident, we recovered our stuff, and I decided that we would instead base ourselves on the coast, a nice Bob-friendly location where I could keep Sewelly safe. As I placed down our starter base and our very first bed, it appeared that even the beach couldn't keep Sewelly safe, as he seemed to be running into all kinds of trouble while out collecting some wood.
Oh, my screen. Rampy, I'm dead.
You're not
There's 2 off swords and I can't move. My weight's full. You've got to come save me.
Oh, that mate boosted. Ah, yeah, that is trouble. Right, Rampy to the rescue.
I'm sure that was my kill.
I killed them both. After saving our beach bob from the dilos, I cooked up some meat from the nearby campfire before stumbling across this pteranodon, not too far from base. I boiled it and knocked it out with some trank arrows, and this was a good opportunity for me to explain the taming system of Ark to our dear noob here, and I explained the concept of narco berries and torpor to him. I left Sewelly in charge of babysitting duties while I placed down a raft, which I thought would be a very valuable early game asset to us. Another terror then landed in base, and despite only being level 15, I knocked it out anyway so that we could both have a flyer, if needs be. That evening, Sewelly and I sat out on our brand new raft to go farm some metal from a nearby mountain. I placed down a couple of standing torches to keep us warm, and of course a refining forge to smelt the metal that we dropped off, and we farmed as much as we could with our limited stone picks, and then was able to head down the mountain until Sewelly came face to face with his first scorpion. Now, originally I was planning on letting him deal with this threat completely on his own, but after he appeared to forget how to sprint, I decided to help him out with a bowler. We eventually did take it out together and then harvested it for some chitin, which we were desperately in need of. Back on the raft, I had the metal smelting, and I was about to go make a smithy when Sewelly spotted some nearby raptors, which we just had to go and deal with. Up there.
They don't want it. Oh no, one wants it.
Bang.
I got him.
I got him as well. Oh, he's calling his mates. He's calling his mates. Get him, Sewelly. Get it on the second bowler. I got him. Right, take this one out first. In the head. Oh no, I've missed that ball. Right, that one's gone. Second one. It's vintage. It was an absolutely vintage performance from the boys, as both bowlers were hit and the raptors were taken out with ease. It appeared that our brand new Ark player appeared to be getting the hang of things in such a short space of time. We now had enough metal to make a smithy, so I did just that, placing it down on the raft and immediately making up some metal picks for both of us. With our 2 metal picks, we ran back up the mountain and were now able to gather far more metal than we could previously. On our way back down towards the beach, we ran into an Argentavis, and I taught Sewelly the beauty of running around Argentavises in circles so that they can't hit you properly. With Sewelly getting the final hit and taking out the Argy, we retreated back to our raft and left back to base. At base, before we concluded day 1 of our week-long session, we worked on enclosing our base so that we wouldn't log into any nasty surprises when we logged on the next day. After Sewelly and I made some efforts to fix his dodgy ceiling placement, we decided to call it on what would be a rather successful day 1, and came back the next day ready to go all over again. As day 2 dawned, Sewelly and I logged back in once more to see that our metal ingots had all smelted overnight, and we now had quite a nice amount of metal ready to go. The goal for this day was to just continue getting used to some of the game mechanics and perhaps tame some more creatures such as some Argies, which we could then use to continue our progress. We made up some metal tools such as crossbows and then crafted our limited narcotics before setting out to explore once more on our raft. We grabbed a purple drop on Carno Island, and with this challenge actually being filmed before drops were nerfed on ASA, it was full of items, including a couple of decent saddles for tames that we would sadly never likely tame. Staying on Carno, we collected a nearby explorer note before advancing further into the island. Now, Carnivore Island isn't probably the best location to take a completely new player to the game, but I was confident with my guidance that Sewelly would be just fine, and we would potentially be able to get out of here with an Argentavis. As luck would have it, we ended up running into an Argy who had just been having a fight with a Scorpion and appeared to already be torpor running. 1 arrow was all it in fact needed to send it down to the earth unconscious. It was only a level 15, but any Argy was better than no Argy. We killed the Scorpion who had done most of our dirty work for us, and I informed Sewelly that we would need to kill a lot more of these, as we would need chitin for Argy saddles. I also told him to make sure that he was using his metal hatchet to harvest them with, as he still appeared to be using his stone hatchet, despite having a metal hatchet in his inventory. We put some raw meat on the Argentavis, and then decided to leave it to tame, safe in the knowledge that it should safely tame up on the quiet side of Carno Island. We left as I wanted to go inland and search for a trike or a stego, just something that would allow us to farm narco berries easier, as farming them by hand was getting old very quickly. However, this search quickly went pretty bad. Uh-oh. Oh no. Boulders. Sewelly! Oh no. Oh no.
It's a raptor. I bowled the raptor.
No, I bowled the raptor. Sewelly, I hate to tell you this, but you're fucking toast. I'm gonna have to run to save us. I'm gonna meet you back at the raft, alright? And we'll go get your stuff. After Sewelly died, we had to make up some flak armor in order for us to return to his body and gather it. Thankfully, it did appear that the Troodons and Raptors had left the premises, so we quickly gathered it up and then sprinted back down the mountain, opting to stick to the beaches for now. While we couldn't find a trike or a stego, we did find this level 80 parasaur instead, so we decided to bowler it and knock it out. Despite being very much a starter berry tame, it was much better than farming by hand. I then killed a turtle to gather up some hide, and Sewelly had also tamed up a dilo. I'm not really quite sure why, but anyway, he did. The parasaur tamed up and Sewelly took it for a spin and was immediately amazed at how many berries it was gathering. With our new tames back on our raft, we headed back to Carnivore Island to pick up our new Argentavis. It had indeed tamed up, and after killing one last Scorpion for the necessary chitin to make a saddle, we could finally take to the skies. We started by taking a trip to the top of Obsidian Mountain to get some crystal, which we then used to make some spyglasses. This was a bit of a game changer for Sewelly, and he enjoyed scouting out all the nearby dino levels from afar as I flew us back to our raft. Taking care to watch out for any pesky leads, we made our way back to base to drop our new tames off. I left Sewelly at base to do some base tasks, while I went out to look for a nearby ankelo. I came back with one and we crafted up a ton of narcotics with the narco berries Sewelly had been farming on James the Parasaur. While we had so much to teach Sewelly still ahead of his upcoming Ark Pro exam, it was important that he had a fundamental understanding of the basics of the game first, so I was taking it slowly. After queuing up the narcotics, we both knocked out the ankelo together, and I gave Sewelly a quick berry masterclass, informing him how mejo berries were the preferred choice of food for most herbivores. Leaving that to tame, we went out to look for a higher level Argentavis. I had seen a 115 nearby, and we did soon manage to locate it once more, just below Obsidian Mountain. While that tamed, I looked at what items I wanted to craft to advance in our journey through the game, and I realised that it was time for us to upgrade our base with some electrical items, such as a generator, fridge, and fabricator. For that though, we would need to visit the snow biome. Before we could do that though, it was time for a metal run with both our Argies, where Sewelly saw a horrifying sight. Oh. Do you want to meet Giggsy?
Rampy, I can't see a thing.
Is it all cloudy?
Oh no, I can see now. Oh, holy shit.
It's Giggsy.
I've heard he wants a crossbow to be dead.
Oh no, he actually does want a bit of Sewelly though, that's the thing. With the metal run back at base and unloaded, I placed down some torches on our raft to keep us warm in the snow, and we then set off into the snow biome, with our fur armour on just about helping to keep us warm as well. However, it wasn't just the cold that we had to worry about. You cold yet?
Yeah, I'm cold now.
Are you freezing or just cold?
Just cold.
Oh!
You are fucking taking the piss.
After just about escaping the first lead sick freeze, we continued our journey into the snow biome. I decided to let Sewelly drive the raft for a bit, which was a bit of a disaster. Eventually, I did end up having to take over once more, and we advanced towards the penguin icebergs to grab some polymer and oil. This was before disaster struck.
Fine.
Was Shark aggroed? I think he's alright, you know.
Oh no, he's. I promise you, he'll be coming for us. We're good.
Oh my god, oh no. That might be a bit too much open waters. Alright. Let's go murder some penguins to make ourselves feel better. I don't mean to alarm you. But he's on us. He's on us.
I can just hear him. He's not very happy. Oh, he's over there. Oh yeah, no, he's still on us. Is it a chat? Oh my god. It just did 4,000 damage. Rampy, it's still on us.
Oh no. Can we hide in the icebergs? Oh!
We can't.
My game's crashed!
No.
After my game crashed at possibly the most inconvenient moment possible, I loaded back in to find myself very much still alive, but our raft very much gone. Just ASA things. Anyway, in the middle of the night, Sewelly and I found ourselves stranded in the snow biome, slowly freezing to death. We had to try and get ourselves out of there as soon as possible, but at least we did gather up some pearls and oil in the process. After a bit of Ark parkour and Sewelly almost getting eaten by sharks a couple of times, we actually did manage to bump into some penguins. So I dropped Sewelly a club so that we could gather as much polymer as possible, although this was now pretty useless, as what I had failed to realise was that our entire metal supply was on the now destroyed raft, meaning it was at the bottom of the ocean. I then explained the concept of sleeping bags to him, as we were both freezing to death rather quickly now, and we would need to use the sleeping bags to respawn and gather our stuff every time. The next half an hour in the snow biome was just a montage of absolute chaos, so I will quickly let you observe some of the best moments of it. Keep going for now,
Some very angry sharks underneath us, Rampy.
Oh no. Oh my god, there's so many. Sewelly! I'm stuck! Oh! Alright, lad. Your turn next.
Hey.
Oh, Sewelly! You're gonna have to make a break for it, lad. You're gonna have to make a break for it. Then smack the RG. Easy. Bowler. Oh no, we both missed. Okay, wait, no, why have you bowled him? He's already bowled. Stop wasting the bowlers. Upon finding this level 100 Argentavis, I quickly worked out that this was in fact probably our best route to safety. A second high level RG would not go amiss either, so together I felt like a proud parent as I watched Sewelly train the RG round in circles while we KO'd it together. After killing another RG to grab the prime, I put it into our RG's inventory and we patiently waited with our sleeping bags for it to tame up. We immediately jumped straight on it when it did tame up, as there was a nearby Yuti who was currently in the process of trying to cross the icy waters to murder us. To rub a bit of salt in the wounds, we loosened the drop on the way back to base with a journeyman fur cap in it, which certainly would have at least kept one of us warm. So somehow we did successfully make it out of the snow biome alive, although I think this full excursion made sure that Sewelly would have nightmares about the so-called big fish as we logged off for day 2 and prepared to come back the next day. Day 3 began to a slightly unpleasant surprise when we found an Alpha Raptor straight outside our base. So I jumped on the RG and continually headshot the Alpha Raptor while Sewelly hid next to the base doors watching my every move. The Alpha Raptor soon went down, and after losing its inventory I found myself a Mastercraft crossbow, something that would now be of some great use for our taming shenanigans. I then had to go and fix the roof to our base as Sewelly had still managed to place the ceilings all facing different ways, and even with my low standards of building, this simply would just not do. With the ceilings all now facing the same way, I placed down some refining forges on our roof, as I plan to turn this into a sort of open crafting station, which would make for some easy unloads on our way back from metal runs. I then decided to give Sewelly a bit of a building masterclass, teaching him about the importance of fence foundations and how you could snap walls to them. I was pretty happy with his understanding of this, so I decided to leave him to it, while I took our Anki up to Crystal Mountain to farm some metal with, as thanks to raft gates from the previous day, we were completely out of ingots now. I managed to farm up a decent amount of metal and then returned to base and unloaded it. I then decided to make the task of fortifying our base a little bit easier, as we needed a beaver for wood, so I grabbed one from the hidden lake and brought it back to base. There, Sewelly and I gave it some trank arrow treatment until it went unconscious. I took this opportunity to teach our good friend a little bit more about narcotics, as beaver's torpor goes down quite fast, meaning it was the perfect guinea pig to teach him with. While our main man was on babysitting duties, I quickly finished and replaced the outer wall defences, as he had of course placed them all the wrong way around once more, before building ourselves a new raft and heading off to Carno Island once more. I had this idea to show Sewelly his first glimpse of an Ark Survival Ascended cave, so approaching the beach we dashed off our raft and into the cave, and inside we swam through the water tunnels and were immediately met by a host of onyx on the other side. I decided to quickly check if the drop had spawned at the top of the cave, and sadly it hadn't, so we pretty much made a hasty retreat the minute we got in there. While it would be on his final exam to complete a cave and grab an artifact, it certainly would not be Carno Cave, as this cave can be tricky for even the more seasoned players, with things like mega rabies and megalosauruses being an issue that I didn't want Sewelly to have to deal with. Attempting to get back on our raft, we had some brief problems with a scorpion, who obviously knowing his days were numbered on Carno Island, tried to become a stowaway and catch himself a free ride. We clearly could not stand for this, so managed to just about ditch him and then return to the seas once more. What I wanted to do was go and look for some good level megalodons to tame, as we would need some water tames to teach Sewelly the ways of the ocean, and also to tame up a Tuso, which would be on Sewelly's end of examination. If you are truly an Ark pro, you must master both the land and the ocean. Thankfully, megalodons are just about everywhere on Ark, so it didn't take us too long to find ourselves a nice level 130. I jumped off the raft and began to kite it into the shallow water, which honestly would have gone very smoothly had an alpha megalodon not decided to join the party. The alpha was particularly annoying as it gave our 130 shark the alpha buff, meaning that we weren't doing nearly as much torpor as we normally would. Despite that, the megalodon was about to be knocked out when I suddenly drowned, as I of course have not been watching my oxygen. And please do not get me started on the glitch in this game, where you don't have drowning sound effects on the brand new, shiny Unreal Engine 5 remaster, by the way. At least upon making my way back to my body, Sewelly informed me that the megalodon had literally gone unconscious the second I died. We then spent a crazy long time stone arrowing this alpha meg, as of course the moment our very own shark tamed up, the alpha would just simply murder it, and we didn't want that to happen. Trusting that Shark 1 would tame up okay, we left on our raft once more and ended up on the coast near Herbivore Island. There I found ourselves another 130 shark. We did also find ourselves a 145, but we opted to go for this 130 because it would give us mate boost, an invaluable bonus, especially in the water. Sully was getting a lot more confident in the water now, and he hopped in and helped me knock out the shark. We quickly grabbed up some prime from the plentiful options that Herbivore Island gave us before going down into the depths the moment it was about to tame, as this place was absolutely teeming with hostile sharks. I saddled my shark up with one of the 2 saddles that I had brought along with me, and as Sully drove the raft next to me, we really felt like we were starting to move on up in the Ark world. On our way back to base, we picked up the other Megalodon who had finished taming, and with our mate-boosted now Megalodon's army, we sped off back towards base. Sully in particular was very impressed with the speed that they possessed.
This thing's got pace. Serious speed.
On our way back to base, we did run into an Alpha Megalodon, so we decided to test out the power of our Megs on it. The bleed effect on Megalodons is what makes them so strong, and I explained that to Sully as we had the Alpha Meg for breakfast. Finally back at base, we were happy with our work on day 3, even if it wasn't the most entertaining of days, and I set about making the most scuffed looking water pen you have ever seen, just to stop the piranhas dragging our Megalodons out to the middle of the ocean while we were offline that night. Day 4 poised to be a huge day for Rampy and Sully. He now had a good basic understanding of most core aspects of the game, and we now had to look towards his training. First though, upon logging on, we had some standard stuff to do, such as taking the Anki for a crystal run at the top of Crystal Mountain. After farming up a decent amount of crystal, we dropped it off at base and then headed off to the snow biome, but there was only one thing on Sully's mind.
I want to find this. There's not right. If there's one thing I want to do, I'm not even bothered about taming a giga. There's one thing I want to do is get revenge on that big whale.
The big fish.
Big fish.
I mean, we are going back towards big fish. We could scrap with big fish if you want.
Look at the scrap below us. Unbelievable.
Yeah. In the snow biome, we farmed up some oil on the Anki, and I grabbed some silica pearls, before we got up to some more terrible decisions. Oh, it's an Alpha Kana. I reckon Jack takes it, you know.
You're a brave man.
I am. It could end in tears.
It also, you know, it takes a brave man to send me in on Jack. Jack's elf's looking so smart. This Kana don't want it. This is the strat.
Well,
You're telling me we don't tank a giga like this?
No. We get like 2 shot by a giga.
Just drop me. I'll just tank him. Don't want it.
Go on, Sully.
No, he wanted it. Oh my god, he wanted it. Rampy, I can't move.
Sully just did
Rampy,
it.
Rampy, Jack's gonna die.
No, not Jack. He's bloody, Sully. He's bloody. Get him.
Yeah, Rampy.
No.
Rampy, Jack's gonna die.
No.
Rampy, Jack's dead. Rampy, come get me. Just pick me up. Jack is.
He's dead.
No!
Come on, Jack.
You're gonna be fine!
Crossbow.
Hollis! The oil!
Crossbow,
The
Sully. Crossbow it. We killed it.
Get the oil! Where's Jack's body?
Another absolute disaster class from the lads there, and I wasn't really feeling like much of an Ark Pro at this very moment. As for the second day of the last 3, I found myself stranded, dinoless, in the snow biome, and freezing to death. In the end, we just had to simply spawn at base and fly back to the snow to get our bodies with, which while it actually worked, it wasn't a great look. Of course, now being an RG and Anki down, it was hardly a successful trip, but we had at least got what we came for, and back at base I worked on getting a set up with a fabricator, and then started to craft up some scuba gear, which we were going to need before we could venture down into the deep ocean. Making use of the long-needed addition of the fabricator, I decided we had to upgrade ourselves from the poverty of cooking our meat on a normal campfire, so I made an industrial grill. After placing it down, I then of course realised that we were in need of a generator to power it, and luckily for me, we had just about enough electronics to make ourselves a generator, and also a refrigerator, to store our newly cooked meat in it. I had sent Sully out on the RG to track down Nanki, and sadly he did return empty-handed, but at base he was truly impressed with what I had been up to.
seen a lot of meat. Oh, you're just cooking steaks, mate. Look at that.
With our newly crafted scuba gear, it was time to show Sewelly the beauty of the bottom of Ark's oceans. Although every time I turn my back on him, he appears to be picking a fight with new creatures, such as these plesiosaurs. Thanks to the power of the sharks, we could take the plesios out without too much of a problem, although they did knock off quite a substantial amount of health. We then ran into a mosa, which we began to kill, and this was also Sewelly's first encounter with eels, and it was safe to say he was not a fan of them. Despite the mosa rather annoyingly healing himself up on the dead eels, we did kill it eventually, and also grabbed some black pearls from the eruptorids that spawn at the bottom of the ocean, which of course would be very useful in our Tuso taming adventures. The main thing I wanted to find down here was actually a Tuso, which we would then kill to get some black pearls, which we would then use to tame another Tuso later down the line. Now, what we found instead was something far bigger, an alpha Tuso. Now, any good Ark mentor would have told his freshly newfound beach bob to stay well clear, but I decided that we would have a go at bleeding it to death instead.
Don't get stuck this time, Sewelly.
Yeah, that would be smart. Uh-oh.
I'm grabbed. I've been grabbed.
You've been grabbed? Right,
Yeah,
smack him. I'm getting in there.
I'm smacking him. I'm smacking him a lot. Right, I'm no longer... Am I grabbed? I'm still grabbed.
This might be bad. Sewelly might be dead.
I can't...
Yeah.
Can you ever get out of this?
He often lets you go after a while.
Yeah, I'm dead. I'm so dead.
It's not good, is it? Oh, there you go.
Megalodon.
Go, run.
Megalodon's health is so deep.
After the Alpha Tuso decimated both of our HPs, we decided to leave the water exploring for the next day, and instead returned to base and parked our Megalodons, before returning to the snow biome once more, where we would wanted to find a replacement Ankylo, and also a couple of direwolves, which we would use to do some caving with. We found the Anky first, with this 120 being a decent tame, so I picked it up and brought it over to Sewelly to knock out.
I feel like I'm just killing it at this point. It's a bit bloody, Rampy. Why is it not going to sleep? It's gone to sleep.
After knocking it out, I farmed up some berries and put them on the Anky, while we left it to go and pursue some wolves. Despite being mentored by the bowler god himself, however, it appeared that Sewelly's bowler skills still required a bit of work, as he appeared to be missing 80% of them. Eventually though, we did manage to get this first 110 wolf KO'd over here, and I popped some prime meat on it for us to tame up nice and quickly. We actually ended up finding a heap of decent level wolves just below us, including this red level 115 one, which Sewelly had already claimed for his own before it was even knocked out. Thankfully, his bowler skills were actually on point this time, and we managed to get it knocked out relatively quickly. The last wolf I found, which was also just below us, was this level 135, who we rather amazingly still managed to knock out, all while a wild Archie did its very best to distract us. This wild Archie, upon the knockout of the wolf, was swiftly murdered and became a nice prime meat source for our two taming wolves. We ended what had been a great day by bringing the wolves and Anky to a nice safe place in our friend Thunder Chicken's base, who would safely house both ourselves and our tames for the night, and we'd come back the next day. Logging on for day 5, the first task we had to do was of course flying our direwolves back to base. Once that was done, we went to go out and loot some explorer notes to level some wolves up, and we came across a beaver dam. As any good Ark mentor would do, I informed Sewelly that when looting a beaver dam, it was very important to drop the wood, so that more dams would spawn in the future. I can't promise that he's going to remember that though. Still on the note trail, I took him up to Crystal Mountain, where we looted a 2x explorer note, followed by a 4x, meaning Sewelly was now on ×8 XP, as did his wolf, meaning they both got a nice chunk of XP. We then returned to base and took the sharks out for a swim, as we were still low on black pearls, which we would of course need to teach Sewelly how to tame a Tuso. We actually did manage to find a Tuso quite nearby, in the outskirts of the snow, and the dual Megalodon bleed made short work of it, and it dropped us a nice 35 black pearls. Combined with the 20 or so we had already farmed from the eruptorids, we now had enough to go and tame myself a low level Tuso, and as this is the island and the levels are awful, I thought that we had a good chance of being able to make that happen. Before we could turn our eyes to the Tuso tame though, Sewelly finally managed to get his hands on a big fish, and insisted that both of us go and make its life an absolute misery. So indeed, we did go and do just that. On our hunt for the Tusos, we passed the hard water cave, where the artifact of the cunning is stored, and I couldn't resist just poking our heads in to show Sewelly why this cave is truly hell on earth. There are level 300 alpha Tusos potentially in here.
What?
Yeah, we're not going to go very far, don't worry. Just want you to have a look at the entrance of the absolute
Have a look at the carnage.
Yeah, just have a look ahead. You just see a load of a load of creatures. Just get your spyglass out.
I see a lot of fish.
Like,
Oh, level 180 Megalodon.
these can't be tamed.
Oh.
Yeah, and you see the way they've got like a yellow icon?
Like, yeah, they're all pack buffed, aren't they?
No, it's not pack buff. That means they're alpha buffed.
Oh, so there's an alpha kicking about.
There's an alpha kicking about somewhere.
There's a
in this
level
mix.
260 eel.
Yeah, we don't. There's a level 270 Megalodon. We do not want to fuck with this. So slowly, very carefully, we're gonna edge.
There's a level 290 donkey.
There is.
290.
Yeah. After dipping out of Hard Cave, we finally found ourselves a Tuso in the southern regions of the map, near Herbivore Island. The only problem was that it seemed to have a bodyguard mosasaur next to him, so we first had to spend a great deal of time trying to kite away the mosa from the Tuso so that we could then kill the mosa, thus leaving the Tuso open for Sewelly to make his move. Eventually, after a little bit of teamwork, we finally did manage to isolate the mosa and took it out. It was now Sewelly's moment to prove that not only was he a master of land, but one of seas also.
Right. And so how do I get him to grab me? Just chill near his tentacles.
Yeah, just go near him. He's gonna grab
Right,
you.
Rampy, I've gone. Rampy, I've gone.
He's coming for me.
Rampy, run.
Oh, he's got me. All right, jump off and go for him.
Me?
Quick, go for the mouth. Go for it, Sewelly. Can you feed
Where's
it?
the button?
Sewelly.
I'm looking for a button.
What's it say? You got it. We got it. Let's go. Oh, my Megalodon's on 2k HP. So the Tuso tame actually went pretty well. While it grabbed me instead of Sewelly, which was not intended, Sewelly did still manage to feed the Tuso and get it tamed up. Unfortunately, things started to seriously unravel on the way back to base. We ran into multiple alpha sharks and eels at the same time, which was just too much for us, even with the assistance of our newly tamed Tuso. This, of course, was all not helped by the fact that Sewelly's scuba gear was all broken, so I had given him my last tank, which of course then led to me drowning when I was suffocating underwater without realising. Despite dying and losing both my shark and the newly tamed Tuso, not all was lost. Sewelly did manage to get out of that alive and get back to base with his Megalodon, and safe in the knowledge that he could in fact tame a Tuso if it came down to it, I was feeling pretty optimistic. I also managed to recover my body, surviving a eel stun attack in what was a pretty masterful play if I say so myself. I then left back towards base, stopping at Carno Island on the way to tame up this level 120 RG that I decided to knock out as you can never have too many flyers. And that brought an end to day 5. A relatively short but successful day in which Sewelly had proved himself to be more than capable in the water, and my confidence was building that he just might pass as an Ark Pro by the end of this week. Day 6 was now upon us, meaning I had 2 days left to teach Sewelly everything I could in a very short time frame. Today was sure to be the most testing day yet, as we had to teach Sewelly how to solo tame a Giga. So as we started the day, I told him about the importance of trapping the Giga, informing him that he would need 4 to 5 metal gates and a large bear trap to make this happen. After we made those items with our leftover metal supply, we went to search for a Giga. I ruled out the snow as a possible taming spot for pretty obvious reasons, and the first Giga that we did end up finding was located on Crystal Mountain, which Sewelly did not seem too thrilled about.
Holy shit. That's not cool. We've got no flat ground.
While indeed he was correct about having no flat land, taming a Giga on the island is seldom easy in general due to their spawn locations, so we would have to do the best that we could. We obviously did bring the Giga down the mountain slightly towards some flatter ground, and while it was busying itself with murdering everything in sight, Sewelly began to place down the gates. I was keen for him to do this by himself, as if I helped too much, I was pretty sure that he would almost certainly fail when left on his own. The first gate placement was very questionable though, to say the least, and I quizzed Sewelly on how on earth he thought a Giga was going to fit through the gap. He, however, was convinced that there was nothing wrong with this gate, so I let him get on with it, as he attempted to get the Giga's attention. Sewelly, you gotta make sure Sewelly's not going in. Sewelly's not going in. Is he in? Is he in? Uh-oh.
I'm dead.
Oh, you're so dead.
Yeah, I'm dead. You could come pick me up if you wanted.
Come on!
No!
Despite my valiant efforts to save a struggling Sewelly, he did perish at the hands of the Giga. Upon returning to the mountain, we grabbed Sewelly's stuff from his bag, and I was then glad to see him reworking the placement of the gates slightly, giving him a better chance of actually trapping the Giga this time. We were just strategizing the plan when Sewelly decided to fire an arrow at him out of absolutely nowhere. RG would not take too many bites from Gigs either.
Rampy, I pinged him.
Sewelly, you better hope he's getting it. He's going to go in that trap. So get him, get in line, get in line. He's in. Quick,
I've got him.
Go on. Quick. Get that gate on him. Place the gate. No!
Did I get in?
I don't know. It's very close. He might be trapped. Indeed, the Giga was actually trapped this time, and I placed down a couple of beds nearby so that Sewelly could respawn at the scene. I did decide to help him knock the Giga out to make things go a little bit quicker, but really, once a Giga is knocked out, you should not be messing up the tame from there, as the hardest part is pretty much done. As we did get close to knocking it out, I did then realise that we'd forgotten the narcotics at base, so I had to quickly dash back to base on the RG to grab them, and just as I was closing in on the Giga, Sewelly informed me that it had now gone down, meaning I arrived just in time. I put the narcotics into the Giga's inventory and explained to Sewelly how fast the torpor drop was on the Giga, and how he wanted to let it drop quite low and then pump a load of narcotics into the Giga all at once, which is exactly what he did. We gathered up some prime, and due to it only being a level 20 Giga, we didn't actually have to wait too long until it was tamed up, and Sewelly had now tamed his first ever Giga. It was a decent all-round performance, I thought, although how he would fare without me in the background for support, I wasn't entirely sure yet. For the rest of day 6, we had to do some pretty boring stuff honestly, as we prepared for Sewelly's test. Cryopods and cryofridges had literally just released into the game, meaning that we needed to go and farm up the necessary resources to make these, which included a trip to the snow biome to get some organic polymer. I thought that Sewelly having access to cryos, even with the new changes made to them, might give him a greater advantage. We ended day 6 by having some fun on the beach and taming up a dodo each, before returning to the base and placing down the cryo fridge and dumping the cryopods inside. Day 7 had finally arrived, and we only had one thing that I needed to go through with Sewelly on this day, which was the retrieval of one of Ark's artifacts. Now, I thought long and hard about what cave Sewelly should go for, before deciding that it was undoubtedly going to be the artifact of the Hunter in South 2 Cave. The cave didn't spawn any onyx, which was a significant bonus, and didn't involve any perilous jumps over lava or cliff edges like the Massive or Devourer caves do. For a quick confidence boost on the way, we killed an alpha raptor with our wolves, and we then later in the day arrived at the Hunter cave. We got on our wolves and dived deep into the cave, all while I listened to Sewelly complain about his FPS. He is playing on an Xbox Series X here, by the way, which does make his quick learning of the game even more impressive in my mind. I taught Sewelly the route here, as we would have to jump over this ledge and down into the cave, which then in turn avoided a huge amount of aggressive mobs and the main sort of difficult area of this cave. This was another big reason why I opted for this cave, as I knew that it had a clear route where you wouldn't have to kill many dinos. It was now just the artifact room to clear, and although the arthropluras in this cave are a little bit annoying and tanky, we did manage to clear out the room, and Sewelly now grabbed his first ever artifact on Ark. On the way out, I was in the middle of telling Sewelly how he would need to bring grappling hooks to get back out of here, when he went and did something very unexpected. Definitely close to being able to parkour out of here. Alright, you got up? How have you done that?
Right, so there's a ledge below me.
Yeah.
You need to aim for that ledge,
Yeah.
get stuck on there, and then you just jump towards the moss on the other on the like this side, and then you just keep spamming jump.
I feel like I'm being taught how to play the game now by the pro. After eventually getting myself out of the pit using Sewelly's masterful techniques, we exited the cave, and that was that. Sewelly had completed his 1-week crash course on Ark Survival Ascended. Tomorrow, though, would be D-Day, and without me there to support him, would Sewelly be up for the challenge? The day had finally come, and Sewelly was ready. To qualify as an Ark Pro, Sewelly would have to do the following: kill an alpha creature, tame any 5 creatures on the Ark, retrieve an artifact of his choice, tame a Tuso, and lastly, tame a Giga. The first one of these he opted to do was the killing of an alpha creature, and it appeared that the Ark gods were shining down on Sewelly on this one, as right outside our base there was an alpha raptor running around. While he could have used the wolves or even the Giga to kill this, Sewelly opted to use the RG. Making use of that headshot multiplier, it actually wasn't too long before Sewelly had the Alpha Raptor at death's door, and he finished it off, completing stage 1 of his challenge. Next up, he decided to take on the task of taming 5 creatures on Ark, and he first started with a parasaur, which was a pretty easy tame, followed by a turtle, which was once again an easy knockout and tame, before finally meeting his match, when he met a dodo.
I don't remember how you tame it. Do I just put it out? I'm gonna put it out. You don't. That's not what you do.
Despite failing to tame the easiest tame in the game, Sewelly took his anger out by taking on a nearby Ichthyornis, which was harassing him, and then giving him the classic treatment. With the dodo seemingly off the cards for now, Sewelly set his sights on a trike as his next tame, which in similar fashion to the parasaur and turtle, was a relatively easy knockout and tame job for him. Perhaps feeling he was taking the easy route out a little bit here, he next became a little bit more adventurous, taking the Argentaurus into the snow biome to look for something to tame there. He ended up finding a direwolf and picked it up and returned to base. Not quite sure how, but he had seemingly even managed to stop the direwolf from attacking him mid-flight, which was quite an impressive feat. This tame was a little bit more messy, as Sewelly had apparently managed to forget what a bowler was, despite all of our training. At one point, it did look like the wolf was on course to go and eat his still taming turtle, but thankfully it was actually torpor running, and another hour or so later, it did fall asleep. For his very last tame, Sewelly returned once more to the dodo, and out of nowhere seemingly remembered how to tame it, as he did manage to punch this one out and proudly tame up his 5th and final creature. 2 down and 3 to go, Sewelly decided to leave the big boy tames for last and set off towards South 2 Cave. After arriving at the entrance of the cave with his 2 wolves, he gave himself a little pep talk with some tremendous advice.
You're following me. You're following me. And then what Sewelly needs to remember to do before he enters this cave is fucking raw.
Inside the cave, the creatures lay in wait for him, but as Sewelly arrived on the scene with his 2 wolves, they actually held up pretty well. To be extra safe, which I applaud him for by the way, before entering the artifact room, Sewelly actually decided to wait and force feed both his wolves back to full health. A very high IQ move from our Ark Pro right there. Once that was done, he entered the artifact room and took out the remaining hostiles that were stopping him from claiming his prize. He almost did though pay a heavy price when he jumped off his wolf while a scorpion slowly crept up behind him, but to my surprise he was alive and alert to the danger and got back on his wolf to take it out. Nothing now stood in his way, and Sewelly collected his first ever artifact by himself, and was now 1/3 of the way towards the Broodmother. But maybe we'll save that one for the sequel, if you guys want it of course. Nothing could stop our main man now, as he exited the artifact chamber and used a cryopod for the very first time, and the confidence was clearly flowing through the man.
I'm just so elite. I'm so elite. It's unbelievable how good I am at this game.
3 out of 5 done now, with barely a scratch on Sewelly. But how would he cope with taming a Tuso on his own? Last time he had me there to hold his hands, and also to get grabbed by the Tuso to be fair, rather than his very own shark. With only the 1 Megalodon in our possession now, Sewelly had to make this attempt count.
Let's get some stam. Let's go piss off Mr. Tuso. Rampy's about to watch a masterclass. How do I piss it off? Do I just go near it and it'll piss it off? Do I attack it? Do I bite it? Oh, these things are so scary. Right, son. Rampy.
It's done.
Pretty good, yeah?
Flawless. Absolutely flawless. My prodigy.
Now where's Giggsy? Bring him here.
An unbelievable performance in the ocean from Sewelly, and he was now 1 step away from becoming an Ark Pro. However, the last test would be his hardest yet, and upon seeing the positioning of the Giga, Sewelly's confidence began to fade.
I'm going to full chest this in a minute. I just need him to move to where I want him. And it's not right slap bang in the middle. Giga, you're a pain in my ass, pal. Yeah, there you go. Now you've seen me. Let's go. Let's go for it. How's he hit me from there?
With the Giga now off the volcano, Sewelly still had a long and painful kiting task to do before he could get it anywhere close to anywhere you could remotely call flat land. Eventually, he did manage to get it down to the river near the volcano, and there was some relatively flat land here, even if it wasn't completely ideal. Sewelly did begin to place the gates before dashing back to his RG at one point when the Giga got a little bit too close for comfort. Keeping the Giga aggroed was the hardest challenge he was having, but this was mainly because he was trying to play it far too safe and was flying way too high on the RG. Eventually, he decided to brave it and got off his RG fully, shooting the Giga with his crossbow and attempting to lure it into the trap, all while remaining on foot. Originally, I thought this was a terrible idea, especially as he hadn't even placed down a bed, meaning dying could be fatal. Somehow, it managed to work though, and the Giga went into the trap and the bear trap activated, giving Sewelly some time to come round to the front of the gates and place one in the gap. Unfortunately for Sewelly though, he did move at a speed that I think I'd be ashamed of my 95-year-old bedridden grandma, and at the very last possible second, he placed down the gate, trapping the Giga. It was possibly the worst gate placement he could have done that actually still did manage to contain the Giga, and he had got away with it. However, not everything went quite smoothly. Sewelly had forgotten that he had in fact parked his RG in biting distance of the Giga and the trap, and as he tried to whistle it away, it ended up heartbreakingly dying to the bleed damage. To add an extra comedic element to this, a now naked Sewelly, thanks to being chomped on twice by a Giga, was then killed by a terror bird. Yet the Giga did still remain stuck, and Sewelly, with no armor whatsoever, returned back to the trap and began to trank it out. He was not bothered again by the hostiles, and after a couple of minutes, Sewelly was on the verge of greatness.
Now he might be. Now he is. Go on, go out. Yes!
Remembering my advice about Giga's torpor, Sewelly patiently waited for its torpor to drop before using a host of narcotics on the Giga to boost its torpor all at once. He then gathered some prime from a nearby Rex, and everything was looking up for him, until he almost threw it all away at the very last second.
That's not good. The content's really bad.
Just for reference here, by the way, he had no idea why he got dismounted here, despite attempting to go swimming with his RG. But that didn't matter now. The prime had been retrieved, and as Sewelly put it on the Giga, it wasn't long before it stood up, fully tamed, and in just 7 days, we had successfully turned an Ark Noob into a pro. Well, that's it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, please do remember to show some love by leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel, of course, if you haven't already. If you do like the concept of the video and would like to see more, please do let me know in the comments down below and show some love for Sewelly, of course. Next week, I am going to be streaming a week-long Ark Survival Evolved challenge over on my Twitch, so come on over there and give me a follow if you haven't already. I am, as of now, a full-time content creator, so I am looking forward to a fantastic year ahead with all of you. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all very, very soon for some more content. Bye-bye for now.